In this video, we're going to look through what is going on right now, right, with Amazon. Amazon, the CEO recently pushed an RTO. And RTO is a return to the office, right? And it's encouraging employees that they have to go back to the office or effectively they'll be fired, which is kind of brutal to put people in that position when they've been working from home for so long. And in a previous video, I covered the corporate propaganda and how they word it. So feel free to check my video a little while ago on Amazon on my channel. In this video, we're going to get an idea of the employees who are planning on revolting in one way or another, and get the employees' perspective over these mass resignations that they might put forward, over these strict return to the office mandates. So the first thing we're going to look through is this very interesting article that has some graphs about employees who don't want to return to the office to work 5 days a week when they've been working from home for so long. So let's look at some of these graphs, right? Firstly, employees are saying they're very dissatisfied with this push to go back to the office. We have 91% high dissatisfaction rate. And as you can see, only 9% are willing to go back to the office. And this is like an anonymous survey. There's some wording here just below the graph that people say, my morale for the job is gone, gonna check out until I get a PIP, which is a performance improvement plan. And it's basically saying they're gonna quiet quit, which means they're gonna do less work because they don't wanna go back to the office until Amazon fires them and gives them a layoff package, a few months pay severance, right? So it shows you people are really fed up and they don't really want to be working there for too much longer, right? And then we've got some other graphs that are worthwhile considering, right? Are you considering looking for another job because of Amazon pushing their employees to work in the office? You can see yes, right? 73%. So that's 3/4 of people basically saying, yes, I'm not going to go back to the office 5 days a week when I've been working from home perfectly fine for so long, right? And it really shows you how much disregard these CEOs have for people's life and how much they inconvenience them. People might have been working from home from the last few years and moved to a low cost of living jurisdiction. They might have more time to spend with their kids because they can work from home. They might have time to do their chores and have a better work-life balance during the workday in between work tasks. And the companies are still making record profits. So how can they demand people to be in the office? And this is the reoccurring theme we see in the corporate world now. It's very obvious the way this system works. It's not about freedom. It's not about looking out for citizens of a country or looking out for employees. It's not even about money. It's not about money, it's about control. They want to control every aspect of your life. They want to maintain these overpriced offices that companies should really be saving money on, encouraging you to work from home and not in the office. But instead, they want you to be in the office, in these expensive office buildings that they've apparently need you to be in, even though you can work from home very productively and generate a lot of profit for the company. Now it says here, do you know anyone in Amazon who's considering looking for another job because of the in-work policy? And yes, we have 80% to no 20%. Now, I have a prediction here that many major corporations that do have that pull, Amazon, Google, Netflix, major investment banks, they will be able to drag people back to the office because many people are tied to that. But I think a lot of startup companies, a lot of smaller companies, the leverage they will have is to attract employees, maybe paying a slightly lower wage or maybe a bit more risky job if you're working in a startup that might not work out. They will offer people more remote work because that's how they'll compete. They might say, okay, cool, you're going from Amazon to a small tech startup might have a 20% pay cut, but you can work from home. And let me know in the comments, what level of pay cut would you be willing to take if you could work from home permanently? So if you have to go in the office 5 days a week, what pay cut would you be willing to take so you can work from home 5 days a week instead? So I think it'd be 20 to 30% for a lot of people because there's so many lifestyle benefits that come from working from home, and being in the office, it really does drain your time, your energy, commuting to the office, unhealthier food, wasting money on your transport, wasting money on food you might buy for lunch and things like that. And you can really just have a better quality of life working from home. Then it says, do you know anyone who's quit because of the recently announced in-office work policy? And yes, it says rough numbers, about 30% have quit and 70% haven't quit. But what will happen, and I think this could be a real turning point if people really get their act together, you could see a lot of people leaving Amazon who are highly skilled and they go to other companies and help drive and push up their profit. Or you have such a large group of Amazon employees who are waiting for the layoff, get a massive layoff payment and look at alternative life solutions. They might have their own business ideas that they're working on. But you're going to really see these things start backfiring on these major companies. They can't keep treating employees like slaves as much as we think, oh, they have all the leverage. But I don't think long term this is a solution, this type of dragging people into office 5 days a week for no reason. Here's a quick story here. Couple stories. Someone saying the remote from office work is policy is crazy because we were hired to work remotely. I live far from an office. I have kids and family, so I can't relocate. And this is an interesting comment here. Even if I move back to the office, there is too great a risk I'd be laid off in 6 months anyway, so why risk a move? Many people can sense layoffs before they're going to happen, so they're thinking, okay, I might as well just work from home until they fire me, because there's no point me going to work in the office, relocating my entire family, just to be laid off after 6 months anyway. Now, this is a very interesting comment. I feel dejected about this 5-day return to the office, but at the same time, I'm thankful I have flexibility in my life. I don't have kids to worry about, so I have a good savings to depend on, and I can easily uproot my life and, be flexible in where I'm located, say this Amazon employee. Decisions like the one from Jassy, the CEO of Google, are a big reason why I don't want kids. I don't need others to impose rules that ruin my quality of life. And this is what this system wants, right? This system could have flexible working, people working from home, living life on their own terms, and still generating profit for the company, as I say. But this company is so, this corporations, they're really pushing people to say, okay, cool, well, I won't have kids. I won't have attachment to the community I'm living in, to the town I'm living in. These companies can dictate where I live, where I don't live, dictate me being in a high living cost area to the point where I just don't want kids because it'll just be a massive burden and the job's not stable anyway. I could be laid off. It's just pushing people into just being worker drones. And then at the end here, we have Amazon return to the office. Amazon is encouraging their employees to return to the office 5 days a week from January 2025, with other big tech companies follow. So, people voted, 8,000 people, 8,400 people, and the vast majority said yes, or about 70 to 30%. 70% think yes, other tech companies can encourage people to work in the office. So that's something to bear in mind, right? If you think you're just going to move from one job to the other or one major tech firm to the other, you might make the jump from one tech company to the other, and then all of a sudden the work from home company says you need to be in the office too. So just be careful before you make any major jumps, right? And we've got this other interesting article here. It's talking about candidates dropping out the Amazon recruitment pipeline. So someone's posted this. They said, I think Amazon's return to the office scares many candidates, that thousands of candidates are dropping out the recruitment process. I just had an Amazon recruiter call me and send me 5 emails in the last 24 hours, encouraging me to attend an interview on site. And they said why they're rushing to hire. They're just saying that hiring managers at Amazon have so many candidates dropping out of the hiring process in terms of interview process. And it's a very interesting analysis here because we have so many different perspectives. We have people who are in stable jobs, don't think they're going to be laid off. We have people who are being laid off, people who can't find the next job, people who are making decisions to leave Western countries to live a very minimalist life overseas. We saw all this dysfunction because in the collapsing civilization of the West and collapsing corporate America in a sense in terms of job stability. This is an interesting comment. If you doubt that people would turn down an Amazon job offer in a recession, remember that most candidates are still employed and likely working remote, and were probably given a false hope by the dishonest Amazon recruiters that they will be able to work remotely or at least hybrid, as in working partly in the office, partly from home. Yesterday's CEO announcement that they have to be in the office 5 days a week will likely, put off people depending on their particular personal circumstances, commuting, childcare, health, and things like that. So this is the thing. Major corporations, they think they can play God with people's lives, right? You can't control every aspect of their life, right? And, people get fed up after a certain point, right? They're not going to be, just... they have to be in a sense of desperation all the time. They have to work for a company and keep them happy in all senses. They could be subject to a layoff at any moment. The job search will be difficult. Eventually people get, like I say, sick and tired of being in a desperation, being in a sense of always being pleasing and being subservient. People are burnt out, really burnt out from society, the last few years from 2020 onwards, governments pushing them around, corporations dictating how they can live their lives, what they can say, what they can't say. And eventually people just stop caring. They'll be like, okay, well, maybe I won't get a job at Amazon. I'll just go work for another company, or I'll just live off savings and then maybe go for that Amazon job when I really need the money. This system has to really think carefully about how it's pushing around employees and society in general. So here, Amazon employees blast a new return to the office policy in internal messages. Can I negotiate my manager to PIP me, which basically means put in a performance improvement plan, and I don't care if I have low performance, they're going to pay me for a layoff anyway. I don't really care to work here anyway. So that's quite interesting, seeing how, you know, employees are learning to play the game. They're learning to take advantage of quiet quitting, take advantage of being put in a position where they're going to be fired. They don't really care if they can get a payoff at the end of the day out of it, right? And here's that little excerpt, someone asking, can I negotiate my manager to put me on a performance improvement plan, which typically results in being laid off at the end of it because they set you really high performance standards that you can't meet. And an Amazon employee was saying, you know, I want to take my money and leave. And people are waking up. People are like, people don't have much left to lose anymore in this system, right? So this system should understand, if you're going to be ruthless and cutthroat with employees, they're going to be ruthless and cutthroat with you. And no one can really blame them, to be honest. Now we've got this other interesting article about Amazon workers looking to soft quit, which is another way of quiet quitting and doing less work until you're fired because they don't want to return to the office to work 5 days a week, right? So if you look at some of this commentary here, it says that angry workers quickly reacted to the new policy change, with some agreeing to gradually disengage from their work tasks before seeking new employment. 3 years at Amazon, probably going to soft quit, quiet quit, and get a new job. F the CEO. See, people have really had enough, you know. This isn't just like one case or one employee's organizing a protest. It's really a broad, widespread issue, right? And this system, like I say, it really needs to think carefully how you're treating employees. Look at some of these graphs, you know. I mean, look at some of these analysis, you know. People looking to quit, 68%. People are looking for another job, 80%. It's not sustainable how this system is treating people, right? People are going to look for that leverage. And I'd encourage anyone out there who's running a startup, watching some of my videos, looking at some, you know, small businesses and things like that. Your major selling point will be working from home. You're offering remote work, right? And more people are going to look to do their own thing, be freelance contract workers, work from home, work from their laptop from anywhere in the world. And this is really the future. So Amazon is, as much as these companies think they can play God with you and control everything you do in your life, they're really taking a step back, pushing people back in the office, because they're going to have to pay for those corporate real estate. They're going to have unhappy employees. And then that major advantage other companies are going to have is giving people that flexible working opportunity, right? So let's just look at some of these particular points that will help you, right? Firstly, now in terms of job search, of course, remote work will become rarer. You know, in the thing is return to the office. It's really a sign that perception matters, right? It's not productivity, it's perception. So focus on smaller firms if you are looking for that flexible working, because big names encourage increasingly, you know, Amazon, big investment banks, big other tech firms. They'll want you to be in the office, so you could work there for some time, get those big names on your CV, Amazon, Google, Goldman Sachs, any of those big name companies. And after a time, you can leverage that experience to work remotely, be a contract worker, work at some of the smaller firms that give you a bit more flexibility. Now, there's lots of corporate gaslighting in this whole scenario, right? Because you know, Amazon like to present themselves, they've got this startup culture, but they're not really like that now. They're such a big company. They really want you to extract your productivity. There's no real creativity or innovation going on there. And you know, if you're in a position where Amazon is somewhere you work, or another company, and they're trying to drag you to work in the office when you want to work from home, really think about what leverage you can extract to get your flexible working. Maybe if you're a parent and you have kids, see if you can use that to maybe work from home a couple of days a week instead of being in the office 5 days a week. If you don't have kids, maybe mention you have to spend some time looking after a nephew, so a few evenings a week, so you can't you know, travel back from the office quite late. You need to leave on time, or you need to work from home those days. If you don't have kids, again, you could also mention elderly family members you look after. That's why you need to work from home during the day for certain days a week. Not that it's going to take up work time, you just need to be present in case they have any health issues. And the next trend here really is many people who are not returning to the office, and many people in middle management also, Amazon is going to be firing those. So if you're in that position, look at your next opportunity there. And the way I see about corporate office careers and working in the office, which, you know, many people would encourage depending on their perspective. I would say if you're early on in your career, definitely opt to work in the office because you need to learn the office politics, you need to learn the social dynamics, and then you can opt for more jobs where you work from home because you know how to leverage that even when you're working from home in Zoom meetings, MS Teams chats, things like that. But a lot of the social dynamics, you're best to pick up on that at junior levels in your career when you're working in the office for the first few years of your professional working career. Now, the other thing is interesting how this system can just snap its fingers and switch the narrative. You know, there was a time when they said work from home is really good. You need to work from home 5 days a week because of the lockdowns, and it's really productive, and we're having high profits, and people are communicating with each other well. That's good. Then they snap their fingers and say working from home is now bad. You need to be in the office. So this system can play God and switch narratives on you. The same way they can switch narratives on you and say, oh, you're a good performer, you're a bad performer, depending on just how they perceive you or whether you're popular or not in the office. If you're not popular in the office, you're not a team player. If someone's incompetent but they're one of the manager's favorites, they can just build a narrative around them that they're really good to work with and they should get promoted. Everything is about manufacturing narratives for this system. Nothing's based in truth or reality. So like I say, if they want to say that you're not a good worker, they'll just make it up. If they want to say working from home is bad, they'll just make that up. It's just how they work, right? So one thing I'd advise you to really is try to quickly move and adapt to these changing workplace environments, right? So if you want, for example, want to work for these companies that offer remote work, just bear in mind if they do need you to be in the office, how far are you from the office in case they do switch up their policy. And just be aware of quickly moving and adapting to this very unstable job market, right? And then the key thing also is if you want to work remotely, my last bit of career advice is really focus on differentiating yourself or developing kind of a unique skill set that you can really market that there is a demand for. So for example, if you're really skilled at coding a particular coding language, you can really leverage that to certain rare opportunities about coding, careers that might be more remote. For example, many crypto jobs in Web3, can you engage in Web3 coding like Solidity, which is a Web3 coding language? If you're in finance, there might be specific like accounting skills you've developed, for example, to help people who are working abroad. Can you help do the accounting for people who are maybe American citizens but traveling quite frequently? Can you help them with their taxes? So if you have kind of a very niche skill within your particular industry, that's where you've got a bit more flexibility to work remote because you can offer it on a freelance basis, or you can work for one of those smaller companies that need that type of niche skills. So that's what the reality is now, right? It's really a game of, it's really this passive-aggressive battle you deal with in this society between the citizen and the government, between the worker and the hiring company, between the employee and the employer. So it's just this very difficult environment people are in. Now, I myself have worked for over 10 years within finance at companies like Goldman and Morgan Stanley. I offer career advice, and many of you will be dealing with these type of scenarios over the next few years, and I'm happy to help. If you're dealing with a layoff, a return to the office mandate, you want to help navigating that, reach out to me. There's a link in description to speak with me directly. If you're interested in, discussing this scenario, also let me know in the comments. What do you think about Amazon's return to the office policy? If are you pro working from home or working in the office? Would you prefer a balance of the two? What would you do if you were in a scenario where Amazon said you could work from home 5 days a week and then they snapped their fingers and said you need to be in the office 5 days a week? How would you react to that? Let me know in the comments. 2 recommended videos on the screen right now, and I'll see you next time.